Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
What up, everybody? What's up, Chicago? Coming at you with another episode of Monsters of the Madhouse on Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm Dustin Jones. Catch me at 4-Star Chicago Sports. Glad to be here, man. It's a good day. It's a Victory Monday. The Bears went to Lambeau Field and won for the first time since Jay Cutler was a quarterback for us in Thanksgiving 2015. So it was a good feeling. It was cool to see them pull it out. It was a strong way to end a really soft season. So at least we got that going into it, but it comes down to like, where do we go from here? That's really what it is, right? We got the quarterback. It looks like Caleb Williams. What up, Plank? How you doing? We got Caleb Williams. We got the guy to build around. We got to still figure out if we trust the people in the management and ownership to make these decisions, because there's some big ones coming up, a huge free agency, a huge draft with a lot of very important draft picks that need to hit. And we got to pick a head coach. We got to pick a guy that's going to turn this team around. So if y'all got comments, please put them in here. Plank, thank you for showing up and bearing down. Big news, guys, that we're talking about today is the Bears have requested to interview Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. Since they've announced that, another guy that's come out is Mike Kafka, offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator from the Miami Dolphins, that was touched on last week. Today, Drew Petzig, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals. And who am I missing? Mike Vrabel. They're going to be interviewing him this week. I mean, they're putting a lot of feelers out there. The Bears are going to be doing a lot of interviews, and that makes sense. One thing I want to stress, like right away, to all Bears fans, because I keep hearing every time a name comes up, it's like, God, no, please, I don't want any part of that. We've been saying this whole season, this Bears team doesn't take the time to make the proper decisions. They have not made the right decisions because their processes have been flawed. Okay. So the more people they interview, the more feelers they get out there, the more people that they get in front of them, the more connections they can make, the better it's going to help them make this decision. Just because they're announcing these candidates doesn't mean that should be the guy at the top of their list or should be the guy at the top of your list. But it also doesn't mean that the Bears are making terrible decisions because they're bringing these guys in. We want them to do their due diligence. Let them do it, okay? You can have your list. You got your guys at the top of it. But the Bears need to leave no stone unturned in this thing. This is going to be the most important decision in Chicago Bears history. So franchise history up to this point, because now we have this quarterback to build around. So the guy you choose to lead him in this group is going to be a huge, huge decision. So the more people they bring in, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So we're talking about Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. Last night we got to watch. The first half of that game was crazy, the Vikings-Lions game. That was just hard hitting. Every inch mattered, fighting for everything. And I could not have the second half, obviously the Lions kind of ran away with it, but I could not have come away more impressed with someone that I did coming away impressed by Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn has slowly been creeping up on my list for the last couple of weeks, guys, just in terms of how he's dealing with this adversity, in terms of how he's finding ways to get players to step up through all these injuries. I mean, they've given up a lot of points in some of these games, no doubt. They're dealing with a stacked deck against them, though. And last night, to shut down that Vikings offense, a very potent Vikings offense, the way they did, it seemed like he had them just hyped up and ready to play, guys, because every important play, every third down, every fourth down, the Lions came up with the play and the Vikings didn't. The Lions defense stepped up huge last night. What's up, Brandon Trax Hyatt? How we doing? Thanks for joining us. Bear down. So I was really impressed by Aaron Glenn last night. Now, obviously, one game doesn't make or break a head coaching candidate, but I'm happy to hear that the Bears are going to be interviewing him. I was a little I could hear there with Aaron Glenn for most of the season, but he's really jumped up my list, guys. So I'm excited to see that. Ben Johnson is obviously a great candidate. He's going to be the most sought after candidate probably on this list between him and Mike Vrabel. He's that offensive guy that everybody wants. And then I've been making this point. Let me just make it again, please. Darius Lockhart, how you doing, man? Bear down. If y'all got any info y'all want to talk about, please throw it in here. We'll touch on it. But this point is hugely important to me, guys. Just because we have the quarterback, or just because the NFL is trending in one way or the other, guys, good coaches adapt. I don't pigeonhole yourself into, well, we need an offensive guy or we need a defensive guy. You need the right guy. You need a leader. You need a culture setter. You need someone that's going to turn around decades of dysfunction. You need a strong personality. That's what you need. I don't need the offensive guru. I don't need the defensive guru. I need a leader. And I need a guy that's going to hire a staff of leaders that, you know, because like last night, you're looking at potentially 5 head coaches on the sidelines between Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, and Flores. You know, these teams are 14-win teams playing each other for the last game of the season for the number 1 seed, and look at their coaching staffs. So it's not just about the head coach. It's about who you hire and who you surround yourself with. That's going to be hugely important. CSP in here, breaking news, Bruce. So I just really want to make sure us as Bears fans, we don't get, you know, tunnel vision on offense or defense. Okay, guys, just make the right decision. Interview everybody, get everybody in front of you, and you're going to have to go with your gut at some point. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to make that decision based on how you think this person is going to lead your locker room and lead your franchise into what should be a winning time for you. That's what you're looking for. Thanks to everybody joining in here. Breaking news, Bruce, man. What up? Chicago Sports Podcast. I'll tell you this, guys. I'm talking about a leader of men. I'm talking about that culture setter, that guy that's going to turn this whole fucking thing around. That is Mike Vrabel to me, guys. It is. Mike Vrabel, you know, he cut his teeth at Ohio State, you know, obviously was coached by Bill Belichick, a part of those Patriots dynasties in the early 2000s. Went to Ohio State as a linebackers coach, defensive line coach. He was a defensive line coach in Houston, then moved up to defensive coordinator, and then he got his shot in Tennessee. And I mean, from 2019 to 2021, this guy went to the playoffs, took that team to the playoffs 3 times in a row. Went to the AFC Championship in 2019 with a 9-7 team. Lost to the Chiefs. The wild card 2020. They were 11-5 that year. 2021, they went to the AFC divisional game, lost to the Bengals that year. They were 12-5 that year. This guy can get a lot out of a little. This guy can in that Mike Tomlin vibe, in that Jim Harbaugh type of style, in that Dan Campbell type of style, he's a leader of men, right? Am I a Cubs or a White Sox fan? What's up, Anees Lazib? How you doing? I am a Cubs fan when I can catch them on my TV. I root for the Cubs, I guess, yeah, over the White Sox. I'm more of a football, basketball guy than a baseball guy, though. We won on defense and special teams yesterday, so don't sleep on those 2 phases. It takes all 3. That's exactly what I'm saying. The staff that you hire, Tracks, Chicago Sports Podcast, to put around your head coach and to develop these players, this young group of guys that's going to be coming up, and you're going to be adding more young guys to it that are hopefully going to be impact players for you. It's going to be hugely important that you hire the right defensive coordinator, that you hire the right offensive coordinator. And that's something that Mike Vrabel has done really well. I mean, his offensive coordinators in Tennessee have been guys that have gone on to get head coaching jobs. He's surrounded himself with good people. He has a lot of connections in the NFL, a lot of good relationships. Mike Vrabel found ways to win in Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, guys. I mean, obviously you had Derrick Henry, build your team around that, which I wouldn't be too get yourself a ground and pound running back to pair with DeAndre Swift and improve this offensive line, run the football down these other teams' throats. That's going to be the recipe to win in Chicago. I think that's something Mike Vrabel wants to do. More importantly, I just think he changes the demeanor of this team as soon as he steps in the building. We've seen him do it before. We've seen him execute and have teams that are disciplined and play well. So I'm really Mike Vrabel's at the top of my list with a bullet. Nobody's coming close. The Bears are interviewing him this week. If they get him in the building and let him go without a contract, I'm going to be very disappointed because the Patriots just fired Gerard Mayo. And they did that with their eyes on Mike Vrabel, obviously. I thought they should have went after Mike Vrabel last year when he was available, but the Crafts, for some reason, handpicked Mayo to take Bill Belichick's spot multiple years ago. And I keep hearing this too, guys, that if someone's choosing between the Patriots and the Bears, they're going to choose the Patriots because of their ownership. Their ownership is better. Our ownership ain't good, guys. I'm not gonna make any excuses or try to put any seasoning on them. But I mean, the Crafts just went through a whole ugly divorce with Bill Belichick, ran his name through the mud, put him down to other teams throughout the NFL. I don't like them. They did a whole documentary putting down Bill Belichick. Then they take their guy who was handpicked, Gerard Mayo, to take this guy's place, to take the best coach in NFL history's place, and they give him 1 year with a terrible roster and a rookie quarterback. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to make excuses for Gerard Mayo either, but you gave this guy 1 year with that roster, and now you're firing him. I don't know if ownership there is that much better than ownership here. I think they're all idiots, to be quite honest. I don't know if that'll be a factor in this. I think we lost Vrabel, unfortunately. Darius is touching on what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Patriots are going to push hard for him. If I'm Vrabel, I would choose the Bears over the Patriots, but Vrabel has that connection to the Patriots. So, yeah, that's a big concern of mine too, man. I think we're still in the running for Vrabel, and I think if you give him a hell of a pitch and you give him a hell of a contract and you get to interview him first, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't let him leave the building without a contract. That's what I want now. CSP says, Big Cat from Barstool now believes Ben Johnson goes to the Bears. Listen, Ben Johnson is the second guy on my list. Now, I haven't seen him. We obviously haven't seen him lead an entire team. Right? That's what Vrabel has over him in my mind. But Ben Johnson obviously creates a hell of an offense. He would be great for the development of Caleb Williams. I have no doubts about that. I just have concerns about the staff he surrounds himself with, and if he can be that leader that we need that'll change this team's identity and this team's culture. But I mean, he's got a great example of how to do it and working for Dan Campbell for these last few years, right? Like Dan Campbell, you can't find a better example of that in the NFL right now. Ben Johnson's working side by side with him. So he at least knows what that looks like and how to emulate it and fake it until he makes it, right? So Ben Johnson is second on my list, guys. Yeah, and like CSP says here, hit that like button, everybody. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We got 30 in the building right now, just in the chat. So that's pretty badass, guys. At 2 p.m. on a Monday. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, Vrabel's number one on my list, and I hope we didn't lose him, Darius. I hope we still have a shot at him because I think the Bears desperately need that guy in particular. Ben Johnson second on my list. Aaron Glenn is third on my list, guys. This was not the case just, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. You could have heard me saying I don't want any part of Aaron Glenn, but I've just been so impressed with this guy. I don't see how you watched that game last night and don't come away super impressed with Aaron Glenn. The way he was communicating with his defense throughout that game and the play calls that he was dialing up in big moments, man. And again, works for Dan Campbell, has that great example of what a great head coach should be and can be in this NFL. So I mean, I'm really intrigued by Aaron Glenn, and I'm happy that the Bears are interviewing him. Now, when it comes to Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator for the Giants, no, thank you. I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of that at all. Drew Petzig, no. I mean, this Cardinals offense has been up and down throughout the season. I don't see anything special about that offense. I don't see anything special about their offensive coordinator. Nothing that makes me say I want that. And Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins defense has been solid. Anthony Weaver comes from the Ravens background. So like, that's a good place to come from, that system. And then Harbaugh, and so like there's somewhat intriguing about that, but I think he needs more time. He's only been a defensive coordinator for 2 years of his coaching career. He's probably got to cut his teeth a little more. There's guys who are way more qualified than Anthony Weaver. Oh, here we go. What up, Amphiorus? I agree. No CO2 wave. Vrabel doesn't go back to Patriots. Mayo had coach and waiting on his contract, had to give it a year, so Vrabel waited out. Now he can go back there to coach. Listen, again, guys, I really hope not. I really hope not, because Vrabel to me is the guy that will make the difference to this Chicago Bears team. He will take on the identity of Chicago. His teams will take on the identity of that bring your lunch pail to work type of thing, like that blue collar mentality, that run it down your throat mentality. That's going to be a huge advantage for you in Chicago in the wintertime. So, I mean, it's Vrabel to me all the way. A couple dark horse candidates I wanted to just throw out there, man. Steve Spagnuolo's had a head coaching job before. It did not go very well for him when they were the St. Louis Rams. I like Steve Spagnuolo a lot. Won multiple Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator. Hell of a guy, hell of a leader. That team loves him. Just somebody I throw out there. I don't think he's going to get any interviews. He's pretty damn old, and he just might be one of those guys that stays a defensive coordinator. But I would really like to get that guy an interview. And Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator, another guy who comes out of that Harbaugh system, which I love. I want any part of that I can get. Jesse Minter's a guy that I'm really interested in, that I would like to see potentially get an interview here. Hello Paper Sports Channel says, I love anyone who can communicate with me, the players, and someone who's did it before. This media and city is not for the weak. Bear down. No, yeah, I agree 100%. You got to have really tough skin to be a head coach in Chicago. You got to have really a certain identity about you to endear yourself to the city of Chicago. There, it wasn't Mark Trestman. It's the opposite of Mark Trestman is what you need to endear yourself to the city of Chicago. Mike Vrabel has that in spades. Great communicator, great leader. Just he's the guy to me. Ben Johnson, I don't have those examples, to go off of. His resume is just as an offensive coordinator, and his offense has been second best in the league in the time he's been the offensive coordinator. If you kind of break down all the numbers, so I mean, he's been a damn good offensive coordinator, which excites you when you're thinking about Caleb Williams, right? So I mean, that's not something I would hate. I mean, here's the question, guys. And again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you join us later tonight. We got another show coming out. 4 Stars will have a show tonight, the House Hall Hangover at 6 p.m. Hit us up on our channel. But here's the question, guys. If you're choosing, to me, and it always has been this, guys, it's Ben Johnson, it's Vrabel. Well, flop the order however you want. If you're choosing between Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson, who do you want? Put it in the comments. Leave the comments in the video after it's done, please. Let us know what you think. Love those comments afterwards. We get to kind of interact with you a little bit after the fact, too. So let us know, man. Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson. Who are you picking if you're choosing from that? And if you got somebody you want to throw out of left field, man, here, let me know. If Aaron Glenn's your guy, I'm interested to hear why. Like I said, he's jumped up my list based on the performance he's had over these last few weeks. And again, that's me knowing that they've given up multiple 30-point games in a row. It's just something about how this and they just got Anzalone back yesterday. That was a big part of their defense. Obviously, he made a huge impact. But there's just something about how they're overcoming and still finding ways to win and make plays. And that defense has been a part of that for sure. The defense is making plays, and Aaron Glenn is a hell of a fiery leader. I like that. I mean, that's DeMeco Ryans from a couple years ago. That's Robert Saleh from a couple years ago. I mean, the book is still being written on DeMeco Ryans. Saleh obviously got fired, but these are guys that get head coaching opportunities. So don't be upset if the Bears are interviewing this guy, because the Bears are looking for a head coach. So this guy's going to get those opportunities to interview. You want the Bears to be interviewing these guys. That's the way I feel. Doesn't mean that they're going to hire them, but you want the Bears to be casting a wide net, right? Wide net. Chicago Sports Podcast. Like, subscribe. I would like to have Johnson with Saleh as DC. Plank, thank you. Plank is taking Johnson. Saleh as his defensive coordinator. And that's the other stuff you get into with all this, right? Like, how many of these interviews are going to be of guys that don't have a coaching staff next year? Could they potentially be a defensive coach for you on the defensive side of the ball? Could they be an offensive coach for you? Could they be your quarterback's coach? Could they be your defensive coordinator potentially? You bring in as many people as possible. You make these connections, and then you kind of see where it goes from there. Now Darius is throwing out Carroll or Flores, because I think we lost the other guys. Why do you think we lost Ben Johnson? I mean, I don't know. I personally feel like this Bears job is the best opening on the market for any head coach. The one thing I'd be thinking about if I'm a head coach, I mentioned this previously, is what a tough uphill climb you have in this division. You just saw it last night with 2 teams beating the hell out of each other. I mean, the Bears just beat the Packers, and the Packers sent the Packers to Philly. That's a huge deal, going to Philly versus going to Tampa Bay or Los Angeles, where it was up in the air still at the time. But it's just a huge freaking difference between having to go to Philly versus going on the road to one of those other teams. So, I mean, this division is very competitive, guys. So as a head coach, you really got to think about that in terms of how quickly can I be successful in Chicago when it comes to the other teams I'm going to be playing. I mean, it's just going to be a really tough thing to do to establish yourself as a winner within this division as quickly as it will be in Jacksonville or New Orleans in those divisions. Ain't even close. Vrabel or Pete Carroll, Hello Paper Sports Channel says. So, yeah, we haven't even mentioned Pete Carroll, guys. Obviously, he's a Super Bowl winner. He lost the Super Bowl, won a college championship. This guy has been coaching forever. 10 out of his 14 seasons in Seattle were winning seasons. I mean, he's spent this whole season, finding tightening up the loose ends in his systems and those things, right? So I mean, like, Pete Carroll's another guy that could be a great option, right? So I mean, I'm interested in Pete Carroll. I'm intrigued by it. All right. He's a guy who's got the previous experience. He's a guy who's shown that he can be a leader and establish a culture. I mean, that Seattle team was going nowhere when he got there, and he turned that organization around. And you can still see the success that team is, still somewhat having, right? I mean, they were a competitive team this season all year. I mean, and they would have been with Pete Carroll as their head coach too, I think. So Pete Carroll is a guy that intrigues me. There's the concern with him is the age, right? So I mean, if I'm choosing between Vrabel and Carroll, I'm choosing Vrabel because I know he's going to be here. 49 years old, he's got plenty of time ahead of him. He's kind of going to hit his coaching prime right now. It's like drafting that guy and letting them grow into that ultimate quarterback versus signing that free agent or trading for Aaron Rodgers at the end of his career. Like, Pete Carroll's kind of at the end of his career. I want the guy going into his prime. That's where I'm at with that. And Furious, I'm really interested in Todd Monken. Okay, that's interesting. Head coach in college, runs a good offense, been a QB coach. Plus, he comes from a good coaching tree and is from Wheaton, Illinois. He's a local guy. All right, Todd Monken, interesting. I mean, he's the Ravens offensive coordinator, correct? Yeah. Listen, I like anybody from the Harbaugh that's connected to the Harbaughs, to be quite honest. So you got my attention, Amphiorus. Appreciate your comment, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Darius Plank talking about Darius. Jags will have anything and everything he wants. Okay. Look, what do we got here? Ray Yanez, I agree with you, my friend. We as Bears family don't know how to coach, so we can't say nothing about the interview. I just hope they pick the right coach. Fair down. Okay. What up? What up, Kyle? How you doing, man? Thank you, bro. Thank you for joining us. Hit that like button. I know you're already subscribed. Appreciate you, boss. What else we got here? I also wish they interview the 49ers coach, the offensive coach. Okay. I mean, listen, the 49ers have had a down year this year, but I think the Niners should be really bringing back everything and trying to figure this thing out. Shanahan isn't going anywhere as much as people want to make that a story, and I think he's going to try to keep his coaching staff intact, to be quite honest. I mean, I think they're going to chalk this up to an injury-riddled, crazy year that, they're going to try to bounce back from it next year. Any other guys you guys got out there that you want to throw out there? I mean, listen, to me, I'm all Vrabel all day. I think if you get him in the building, you just don't let him leave without making sure that he's your head coach. Now that becomes the thing of, like, have you done your due diligence? Have you talked to everybody else? But if you're confident and you know who you want, like, you have to pull out all the stops to get him, guys. This has been. It's just, the Bears know it. It's widely reported. This is going to be the most important decision for the next 10 years of this franchise, guys. If you got a 2-year-old kid, they're going to be 12 years old. This decision is still going to be impacting the Chicago Bears come your kid's 12-year birthday, So, I mean, like, this is huge. This is huge. So if you have a gut feeling and you have a guy that you have conviction about, then just fucking go for it, man, and get it. Get it done. I have so much conviction about Vrabel. If I was making this decision, I would do everything in my power to make sure he does not leave without this job. Kyle, I agree with you, man. Pete Carroll changes the culture. He did that in Seattle, like I was saying. So I wish he wasn't. His age is his age. It's part of the package. There is no perfect guy, and that's not going to exist, But I think Vrabel's as close as it comes to it, man. Viz Joe, what up, man? How you doing? What you got here? We have to build this team around Caleb, so got to go with Ben Johnson. No other head coach would have a better offense. No, listen, Caleb has got to be the priority for sure. Ben Johnson, that's his main attraction, obviously, right? Is that he should develop Caleb Williams into that top 3, top 5 quarterback in the NFL, which is what we need, which will propel this offense to win games. I just personally don't believe that offense is going to win you the NFC North. Guys, the over-under in last night's game, Sunday Night Football game, going into it between the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, was 56.5. At halftime, it was 10-9. When these games come down to nut crunch time, when it's time to knuckle up, your defense has got to show up. Your run game has got to show up. The NFC North will always be that. will always be that. So, like, yeah, I mean, high-powered offense is great, but I don't think that's what's going to win you this NFC North. I don't think that's what's going to win you a Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs last year won the Super Bowl with the best defense in the NFL. That's what won them the Super Bowl, not their offense, guys. So you got to have all aspects of your game covered. I think a guy like Vrabel knows how to hire. He hired Matt LaFleur as his offensive coordinator. He hired Arthur Smith as his offensive coordinator. He's had good offensive coordinators that have then gone on to become head coaches. So he knows how to surround himself with guys that can do that job better than he can do it. And he lets them do their job. And they do well at it. And they do it in unison with his vision, how he wants his team to win. That's what's most important to me, that alignment, that unity, that camaraderie, and just everybody on the same page. Obviously, the Bears didn't have none of that this year, guys. Fired your offensive coordinator, fired your head coach. That was clearly never here. You need that to win, right? What we got here? Amphiorus. I'm glad as many coaches kept their jobs. Bears don't have near the amount of competition I was expecting them to compete against. I mean, hey, there's still some guys that could get fired. We'll see how it goes. But I mean, I agree with you, man. The less people out there hunting for these guys, the Bears should have their top pick. I think in NFL circles across the board, man, it's Vrabel, it's Johnson. So again, guys, leave in the comments, let us know who you want. You want Ben Johnson, you want Mike Vrabel. Those are the two bells of the ball, guys. Those are the guys. Those are the ones you want to take to the dance. Yeah, those are the ones whose numbers you want to get. Those are the ones that you want to nail down. That's what I'm thinking. Ben Johnson and Vrabel, get them both in the building, and don't let one of them leave without a job. That's the way I'm approaching it. How young do you need to be to stand on the sideline? And Pete Carroll's got a lot of energy. I mean, that shit, just a few years ago, I remember that he jumping up in the air like he's got like a 40-inch vertical. Pete Carroll's pretty healthy 73-year-old for sure. I would ride with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll can be that, between him and Aaron Glenn, for that third spot on my list, guys. The age does impact my decision, though, Trex. It does. Just in terms of how long he can be here and what he can establish in that time. That's a concern of mine, right? If Vrabel takes over for Jerod Mayo, Ben has a better chance to go to the Bears. Yeah, for sure. But also, I mean, what if the Patriots want Ben Johnson, right? What if the Patriots want Pete Carroll? The Patriots have a history with Pete Carroll as well. So, I mean, I think the Patriots are looking for the same thing the Bears are, guys. So does that leave Ben Johnson as the odd man out? I think if you're asking everybody across the league, who are the best two opportunities? It's the Patriots, it's the Bears. You got your rookie quarterback that has shown a lot of good stuff this year. You got a lot of good draft picks. You got a lot of cap room, and you're in major markets. So I mean, the Patriots and the Bears are the top two. But what if neither one of them? What if they're fighting for Vrabel, and then the consolation prize is Pete Carroll? That leaves Ben Johnson with the Jaguars, guys, which could work out. There's a lot of chairs that still need to be sat in here, right? So I mean, we don't know how it's going to go yet. All we know is what we want and who our list is. I think these two are cultural changers, but I like Vrabel to grow along with Caleb, right? Plus, build a good staff. That's key. Bears can't let Vrabel out of the building. Ben is not proven. Let's go. Like I said, Ben Johnson's my second guy on this list. You got to give guys a shot too, guys. I don't want to make it just sound like you can't give a guy who's never had a head coaching job an opportunity at a job, because how else do they get that head coaching experience, And there's been so many good guys, first-time head coaches. It just comes down to what do you trust for this Bears team? I don't trust the first-time head coach for this Bears team, guys, but I don't trust them to not ruin Ben Johnson. That's my biggest concern. I feel like they need a guy who's going to be stronger than the current, and the current is pushing in the wrong direction. You got to start pushing against that to turn the tide, man. And I don't know if a first-time head coach can do that for the Chicago Bears team. That's my biggest concern. But if the Bears get Ben Johnson, I'm not going to be disappointed. I think he can do a lot of good things with Caleb Williams in this offense. End of the day, any of these top potential head coaches are miles better than Flus. That's for sure, except for Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown did not look much better than Flus when he took over. I still like Thomas Brown, man. I love that post-game locker room speech that he gave to all the guys. You could tell he really cares about his players, man. The Bears are going to interview him. It ain't going to lead to a job, but, at least he got this opportunity. Pete needs to win now. That's a very good point, right? Younger guys have time and they have patience, but that's another thing, Trax. I don't know if you can win now in this division. The NFC North is such a tough division, and the Packers, Lions, and Vikings are still going to be here next year, and they're still going to be damn good teams. They're going to lose some coordinators, but they'll replace them. They got really good leaders on all those teams, right? So, I mean, it's just an uphill battle in the NFC North. You might need to have some patience before you can be competitive in the NFC North. So you might need that guy that can take a little time to get there. I take Vrabel, Johnson, Glenn, and Monken. I think all would work out in Chicago. Glad there's a good chance the Bears get a good head coach. The Bears are definitely getting one of those 4 guys for sure. I don't know. Monken has not been mentioned, but I like him. I guess I like him more as an offensive coordinator than a head coach, though. To be quite honest, it's not a guy I'm going for. But I appreciate your opinion, and I appreciate you giving it, man. Thank you so much for joining us. In Pete, we trust. So true. Everyone need a chance, but it's the Bears. I'll take anyone that won a Super Bowl. We all want a Super Bowl, right? That's going to be the whole point of this, the whole goal of this, guys. Give Carroll some B12 and Viagra. I don't know what he needs the Viagra for, Trax, but okay. Listen, we love you guys. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for tuning in. You guys have been awesome in the chat. It's really carried us for these last 15 minutes. This is only supposed to be a 15-minute show. Y'all are making this really easy, but I'm going to have to get out of here real quick. Trax, we've got a 3-year window. We have to win now like we won yesterday, and we can win close games versus Detroit and Vikings with the right head coaching. I mean, listen, that's the glass half full approach, and yeah, they were in close games with both of those teams this year. They were competitive in this division, though they did not win until the last game of the season. That is true. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be an uphill battle. It is. It's a very tough division, guys. You're going to have some patience there. I don't know if they're going to turn this thing around in one season overnight. We want multiple Super Bowls. Yes, Plank. Listen, guys, Chicago Sports Podcast, we are here for you every damn day of the week. Trax is putting out content like a madman. Everybody's trying to keep up with them. I don't know that we can, but, that's what it is. That's the kind of leader we need here in Chicago, right? That's the kind of leader. I love this question by Darius. Damn it, Darius, you got to ask this question as I'm trying to get out of here. I'm willing to change the defense. The defense needs to be whatever that head coach wants. If that head coach is not a defensive coach and he hires a defensive coordinator that runs a 3-4, make the change. Javon Dexter would be a damn good defensive end in a 3-4. I don't know what you do with Montez Sweat. Maybe stand him up. We were talking about this last night, actually, man. I'm with whatever that gets us the best head coach, right? Bear down. Blessings to you. Thanks for the show. FGB, thank you for that. Everybody throwing FGB in here, right? The Bears beat the Packers in Lambeau for the first time in damn near 10 years, everybody. That's a hell of an accomplishment for our rookie quarterback to go out to end the season on. And that's a hell of a thing for us to end the show on, okay? Again, in the comments, guys, Vrabel, Ben Johnson, or throw your favorite candidate in there, Pete Carroll, Aaron Glenn. The Bears are going to get a lot of interviews in. This is an exciting time for the Chicago Bears. It's going to be a lot more interesting than this season has been, unfortunately, but hopefully the Bears can make the right decision. None of us have any reason to have any faith in that, but we're still going to anyways because we're freaking Bears fans, guys. Listen, we love you. Thank you, guys. Everybody, hit that like button on your way out. Leave the comments. Bear down. We'll see you next time. We'll be back here again tonight.